Here on the Sportscast, we are buzzing to have Hybrid Training Centre as our new main sponsor. Hybrid trains, assess and develops programs for the gas, electrical, plumbing and renewable energy industry. Whether you are looking to build a career in engineering or an employer who wants to upskill his workforce, check out the link in our bio and see what courses Hybrid have on offer. Hello everyone, welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Gary Judge with me from Across the Park podcast, and here we are giving you this week's sport. We're in my house at the minute because it's Grand National weekend, so I will be in no fit state to travel.
Won't see you for a few days.
To travel to the workshop where we normally host a podcast. So again, they're still our sponsors, they're still supporting us. So again, if you can get down to the workshop over the weekend and enjoy Sunday roast, just because we're not there doesn't mean that they're not supporting us.
You had one, didn't you, on Sunday?
I did, yeah. Me and Jamie went down. You got offered, but turned us down.
Not quite true, but I guess I did.
Was you there?
I wasn't there, no.
You was, so you turned us down. And obviously we've got Hybrid Training College as well. They are giving you all the best courses to upskill your electrical, plumbing, renewable energy courses. If you want to get onto the tools, they're the people to go and speak to. Again, massive thank you to them for our support. All the links to all their courses are in our bio. Right. Mate, first off, should we talk about what's he called? The hardest
geezer.
Hardest geezer. Unbelievable. Wow. I was actually saying to my sisters, my sister put in the family group chat, obviously Ainsley's coming on this weekend, and she's saying, I've got my dress ready and I've got me flip-flops for when my feet hurt. And I was like, the amount of women who are going to be walking around in flip-flops after 4 to 5 hours in heels, and yet there's a guy who's just spent a year running the length of Africa. I mean...
Is it a year?
Just short of a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's started at the southernmost tip in South Africa and finished in Tunisia, the northernmost point of Africa.
Have you heard they're trying to deny that he's the first person because someone ran, was it up to Egypt or something? Do you know what I mean? And that's classed as the length of Africa, even though it's not as far.
Yeah, basically... But I see like the running association that are trying to say that they never done it. It's like basically just 10 people.
Yeah.
It's made up of like 10 people.
Jag.
Just it's, and you know what? I was a bit disappointed.
It's a bit like your thing, isn't it? It doesn't. Who cares really? Do you know what I mean? You know you've done it. It's been evidenced. It's been like it's technicality, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, and I was a bit disappointed with the Daily Mail. I mean, not that I'd expect much from the Daily Mail, but
the worst rag going then.
They're the ones saying like they were the ones like Why even give this stupid little association the time of day to try and, you know what I mean? I just thought, why try and piss on his parade? It was horrendous. But no, he is the first guy to do it. Unbelievable effort. Apparently he didn't get into running till like 2018 as well.
No.
Unbelievable effort. And some cracking stories along the way. I think I put him on my Instagram story and just said, he's forever got a career in motivational speaking now.
He from listening to him, I don't know how much of the stuff you've listened, because I went through his page and went down one of your rabbit holes and was just looking at some of the things he said, kind of looking at the background of that. I mean, you've got to be tapped in the head, haven't you? I mean, I've read and listened to a lot of Goggins stuff, and you need to be like crazy, don't you, to be.
Do you know what's mad about it for me personally when I look at that? I think the fact he's running across Africa, when he's been held up at gunpoint, he's had his passports taken off him, he's lost camera equipment, he's had to have police escorts, he's had to have presidents give him like waivers through certain countries, he's been running through Africa with his dangerous animals. I think because all that craziness goes on, you actually forget the fact he's running sometimes more than a marathon a day.
Yeah.
For consecutively.
But when you go through his timeline, it shows you the Strava from certain days, and you're just like, oh my God.
Unbelievable. And again, just shows you the power of, we talk about it all the time, don't we? Mindset, determination, attitude, fair play. And let's see if any Scouse women have got that same attitude when it comes to not using flip-flops.
Fortunately, they don't have to, do they? So
no.
I think that's the thing.
And hopefully none of them, if they listen to that, come up to me and tell me
I'm going to
say,
you'll probably get a flip-flop in the face.
Yeah. It's probably a good time to mention our little challenge. So for anyone who listens to the show or listens to me on Instagram, my plan was to run the Marathon des Sables this year. But with various infections, probably me jumping the gun a little bit and booking it when logistically probably wasn't the best for me, and various issues I've got on my stump, it's meant I've pulled out a bit. Unfortunately though, or fortunately I should say, I have already raised $2,500, and rather than just stop at that, I said to Gary, look, it'd be nice to do some sort of challenge and maybe get up to $5,000 or something. I don't know whether it was me or you suggested it, but I know you've done it before. The 4x4x40 challenge that was made famous by David Goggins. So I spoke to Gary. Gary is keen to join me on this. So to that end, we will be attempting this on Father's Day weekend.
We won't be attempting it, we'll be doing it.
We'll be doing it. That's what I like to hear, lad. We'll be doing it Father's Day weekend. So it's the I think it's the 15th and 16th of June. Starting at Friday 4 p.m. and finishing midday Sunday.
Correct.
So, I mean, that's what we're going to be doing. It'd be great if people want to do it kind of virtually and kind of we can jump on maybe Instagram lives and do various bits like that. Or if you want to join us along the way, I'll be raising money for the Sadulo Foundation. Again, if you want to raise money for that, great. If you want to raise money for your own charity, that'd be good. Or if you just want to do it to test yourself, it'd be great to have you on board. And yeah, nice one for doing it with me.
No, I've as I say, I've done it before, but on the fundraising side of things, I'll obviously put everything. If anyone is generous enough to donate to me, even though I've asked them to do it before, I'll donate anything I get to that as well. But just as for anyone who's curious, I mean, if you look up or if you Google 4x4x48 David Goggins, you'll get loads of hits on there. Before I done it last time, again I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, but it was a good one. It was a healthy rabbit hole. I went on YouTube and searched for it, and there's loads of people who've vlogged it before doing it. And obviously, by watching a vlog, you get a real feel for the ups and downs what to do and what not to do. But again, as an idiot, guys, it's 4 miles. You have to run every 4 hours for 48 hours. So you can do it however you want. Obviously, within those boundaries, you've got to finish it within 48 hours. You've got to run at least 4 miles every 4 hours, but you don't have to start on the watch.
Of course, yeah.
You can wait a little bit, but if you do deviate from that, it causes you problems in terms of how much rest you've got. Last time I done it, I think I worked out I had about 3.5 hours sleep over the 48 hours.
What?
But you know what? When you get to the second day, I don't know if it's just become a little bit delirious, but you just don't feel it as much. Yeah. You're just kind of gliding through the day. And
well, you already kind of told me. I was thinking maybe 8-minute mile pace, and you were just like, no, just do what your legs feel like, kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's like, even though you've ran a marathon in around that pace and maybe less, I've done marathons in less than that pace. Doing it in one hit and doing it when you're fully fueled up to go, you're having stuff along the way, you can continue with the momentum and stuff, is easier than stopping every 4 hours and then waiting for the 2 hours and all the stiffness. I mean for you, the logistics for you are a lot more difficult. You know, taking your running leg off, putting the other one on, kind of, obviously trying to avoid infection. That window you've got between one run and then starting your next, you probably only end up having about an hour.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. It'll be good fun, and then we finish on Father's Day, so we both will have deserved the beer by then.
It'll be a boss buzz doing it with someone as well, because I mean, again, I've got amazing friends and family, and last time I think there wasn't one run that I'd done on my own last time.
Really, yeah.
Somebody jumped on it. I had like a little bit of a board in the kitchen where I wrote people's names on it.
There you go.
Took a picture of it and updated it, and that was loads of fun. And then there was gaps, I think up until like 2 or 3 hours before. People who I hadn't spoke to for years come out of the woodwork and said, right, I'll come to yours and I'll do it. So
yeah, I'll be open for the same thing. And that's the great thing about challenges.
We'll just do it together, won't we?
Yeah, but that's the great thing about challenges, whether it's hopefully us doing this or whether it's the hardest geezer. I think it does make you think, you know what, I want to have a go doing something. So,
and as you say, even if it makes someone who's watching this think, I'm going to do one of them.
Yeah,
I'm going to do one of those 4 mile runs, and I'm going to join the lads on.
Whether it's you down south or something you want to do it, then feel free. So we'll get more info on that as June comes around. Mate, we'll start off on football, and for probably about the 10th time since you've been on the pod, you could quite probably happily and smugly say, I told you so, but mate, you were right again. I remember on this podcast saying, and by the way, I'm a massive fan of Nunes, but I distinctly remember you saying, it's all right, you're calling him Captain Chaos and buzzing off him and you're getting chances and you're still winning games, but when it comes to the big games and he's not putting them away, that's when people start getting frustrated. And against Man United was the first time I got frustrated. And then the next day, all I could think about was how many times I laughed and joked when he was missing sitters, when he was hitting the bar, when he was hitting the post. Because we were still winning and we were still getting 3 points.
And he's still getting a goal contribution, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was getting an assist, and you thought, you know what, he'll come good in the end, it's fine. But again, you were saying, when you need him in the big games, you won't be saying that. And I think Sunday was that time when I definitely wasn't saying that. I could have threw me pint at the telly. He was so frustrating. From the very first minute, he was on the left-hand side and Salah was in great space, made a great run. And I think he's got it in him technically to do it. Whether he's seeing him or not, I don't know, but the pass just didn't go. Missed opportunity. And then the chance just kept on coming and coming and coming. The one in particular was the 6-yard box one. I mean, and it was just a really, really, I think, difficult day to still maintain the love I think that you had for Núñez at the start of the season. It was an absolute killer, and I think for someone who's been in the ground when we've lost it on the last day of the season on points, it'll be,
you know how fine the margins are. I know.
And I can't even imagine the feeling of Klopp's last game at Anfield
and it being out of your hands, and you're just like,
well, you lose it on goal difference.
Yeah.
And you think of all the sitters we've missed throughout. I mean, it's disgusting. Yeah, so fair enough, you called it.
I mean, look, I wouldn't say I'm not the only one. You know, I'm
No,
not saying I'm
you're
not the only one. Do you know what I mean? I think it was you were either one side of the fence, or you're either taking the piss out of him, saying you're missing chances, they're easy chances, or you were going, so what? You score them, but the law of averages means that at some point that's going to come back and haunt you, isn't it? And at the moment it has. Look, it could go the other way. Over the last 6 games, he could be the one who turns up. I mean, did he get the goal of Forest, the late one?
Yeah, I mean,
you know, there's that. So it's like, you know, it could easily go the other way in the last few weeks. But equally, you may be looking back and going, well, shouldn't even been close because of had it on. And
that's the thing. And by the way, I'm not getting on his back, hating him, and I'm not like suddenly, you know, not a fan of him. I think he's a great player, and I think he will be a great player. But I think Sunday was one of those games where it kind of reminded
I think those two games, the cup game and this game, both of those games sum up kind of what your season could have been. Because if you'd have had, and we're going to come on to like the Haaland Kane thing, but if you had a Haaland in those 2 games, you'd probably beat them by 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah. No, totally, yeah. Or if you've got Núñez on a good day, you might have done it.
Yeah, and I say Haaland, it could be Haaland instead of, you know, Diaz, or Haaland instead of Salah. I mean, obviously I'm not saying Salah's no good, but he's another person who's still missing chances.
Yeah, no, he didn't have his best game either, and it was just... listen, it might not even come back down to goal difference. Listen, Liverpool might lose another couple of games. Arsenal might, City might. We don't know. But as it stands, the idea of losing the league on goal difference is absolutely heartbreaking. And yeah, it was just a bit toothless going forward, wasn't it? Which was just proper frustrating. I
mean, the goal, like, just briefly on their first goal, that was soft. That was daft, wasn't it? I mean, it's one of them things when you're only 1-0 up, you're only one mistake away from being level, aren't you?
Yeah, and like you say, I was at the FA Cup game. It felt like that when we 1-0 up. It felt like one a bit of magic or one mistake, and they'd be back in it. And unfortunately for the young lads, I mean, it was you know, obviously, he wasn't even under a lot of pressure either, was he?
No, and the irony is, Kelleher had come to show, and that was the pass onto Kelleher. The reason Kelleher was in the exposed position he was in was because he was trying to show to Jarell for the pass, and he just obviously thought it was one of them. I think it was still a reflection of how comfortable at the time he was with, that he thought, I'll make that pass, no problem. They're not going to come and press it.
But it was the same. Núñez made the pass in the FA Cup game. Núñez just passed it in the 87th minute to them until they scored. So 2 mistakes, and we've let United back in, and it could cost us. Obviously, it has cost us the FA Cup, it could cost us the Premier.
And briefly, obviously, I said to you, didn't I? I think the day after Klopp's post-match press conference or his comments, where he was saying, look, we've got a few games where the team who are playing, it's going to be like it's going to be an FA Cup final. They're going to be up in the game to try and stop us from winning the league, and he obviously included us in that as well.
It's interesting how he actually mentioned Everton, didn't he? Which, I mean, I know it's obvious you are going to raise your game, but I just think that derby in a couple of weeks' time is going to be massive, isn't it? Because we'll come on to Everton in a bit, but just this, you know,
there's going to be probably going to be a lot riding on for both of us,
And it'd be interesting how they react. Obviously, we've got the Europa League game, which obviously will happen last night when you're listening and watching, which obviously we can't mention as it's only Wednesday, but you would imagine at Anfield it'll
probably come out Thursday morning though, won't it? Because we're recording Wednesday. I mean, we're relying on Muskie.
We speak to Muskie to get it out a day early, maybe. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, we can just make it easier for us. I think, and if we can, which it sounds, you know, very hypocritical, but if we can put our scoring boots on and put a few past them, it then opens up the potential to then play a bit of a weaker team, because I think obviously you just want your best team out for the Prem now, don't we? So if we can over the first leg, get the job done. I mean, I think most Reds would be happy with that.
I mean, in fairness, Atalanta are not as strong as they have been in
Sixth or
recent years.
seventh in the league, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have turned it round over the last few months. They're a lot better than they were at the start of the season. That said, you know, you've one of their best players, I think, over the last couple of seasons has been Adam Lallachman. Do you know what I mean? That's what I mean. Serie A at the moment, obviously, Inter have done a top job at this, but even they got blown away in the last rounds of the Champions League against Atletico, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they're walking away with that
teams.
league.
Yeah.
AC aren't great either. You've seen that in the group they were in against Newcastle. So, yeah, I can see it being a comfortable one for us.
Fingers crossed. And just last bits on Liverpool. Big talk now, as in it looks a lot more confirmed, or like at least verbal agreements with Amri. Is it Amrion? Is that how you say it?
I don't know. I don't know him well enough, to be honest. I know his sporting team, and anyone who kind of probably puts a bet on across Europe knows that Sporting have been very reliable over the last few years. And
although I think, just while you're saying that, sorry, I'm sure we've just mentioned that Atalanta. I'm sure Atalanta put Sporting out. I'm sure they did, you know. They
did, yeah, in the last round. It was close,
Yeah.
It was close in both legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the domestic league, if you like, and just, you know, it's a weak league. However, Sporting have traditionally been the third team behind Benfica and Porto. They've been the best team, if not, you know, quite close with, and they are close with Benfica this season. So, you know, he's kind of, Portugal's a bit like the Scottish league. You know, you've got Porto and Benfica. I mean, it's better than that. Do you know what I mean? There is a bit more depth to it.
No, I totally get what you're saying. I think the only one, well, you could take this both ways. You look at Josie, but then you could also look at Andre
Marco Silva's done okay.
Andre Villas-Boas, wasn't
Yeah, Villas-Boas and Marco Silva probably. I mean, Villas-Boas, did he win a European trophy in the end? He got to a final, didn't he?
He's got a mad story. He just gave up football, didn't he? I think his half fella is minted, or
wasn't he at Zenit last?
Yeah,
Villas-Boas.
I'm sure I've seen an article where it is.
He's dead young now. I mean, similar to him. Quite common with Portuguese coaches, actually, now that I mention it. Because Mourinho was young when he first come on the scene in Portugal. So was Marco Silva. So was this fella. So was Villas-Boas. Seems to be quite a bit of a trend there. But
so he could be a... Yeah, like, you know,
it's just that,
who knows
I don't know.
Be like.
I just think Portuguese coaches and news, it just doesn't seem like a...
No, it doesn't.
Do you know what I mean?
Does it? Yeah.
Like the style and the personality. And you look at him and I don't know, he seems like a bit of a moody character, doesn't he? Doesn't seem like the...
There's so much to kind of how you want to view it. I mean, it's a poison chalice anyway, isn't it? Regarding, you know, Klopp going, but I think I've just mentioned here, you know, I think the biggest thing, whoever comes in, is going to be either moving them on for big money or tying them down, and that's Salah, Trent and Van Dijk.
Three biggest players, yeah.
Because I think even that might even be a conversation with the manager. You know, look, if I'm coming in, are they going to be definitely there? What's
Alisson's contract situation? I don't think he's far off, is he? Hasn't he only got 2 years in his contract?
It might be 2, but I know them 3 have got 18 months left. So it's like, what do you do with them? Do you kind of move them on, or do you... Yeah, I don't think... It
depends which way you look at it, doesn't it? I mean, again, going back to Alex Ferguson, comparing it with him leaving and Klopp leaving, which I mentioned last week, and a lot of people have mentioned. You know, there was the likes of when he was leaving, it was like Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo, they were all kind of on the way out. You know,
there's actually some United fans, you know, who have a go at Ferguson because they say they left them with like the worst team, which is a bit mad considering what he's done. But
I know.
There are United fans that say it was Ferguson's fault that he's like, when we won the league, it was the worst team that ever won the league.
But he won the league with the worst team, so
yeah. So
yeah,
it's gonna be whoever comes in. It's gonna be a tough one. Interesting one for you as well, kind of just before we touch on Everton last when it comes to footy. But there was Champions League last night. Unbelievable couple of games, by the way.
I think that they're the 2 best first legs I've seen. Because first leg's a weird one, and in the knockout stages, obviously you'll know more about it than I will from personal experience. But it's like, you don't generally win a tie in the first leg, but you can easily lose it. I know that's a mad thing to say, because winning and losing is the same thing, depending on which side you're looking at. But, you know, as a manager and a fan, you're thinking just be in the tie. Or if you're away, get back home with a result. Yeah. If you're at home, and therefore it tends to be a bit of a cagey affair.
I think the away goal taken away from that's definitely helped with that.
It's a good shout, actually, yeah. Definitely.
And I was just gutted you both on at the same time.
I know. It's wrong. Surely they can stagger it.
I know.
Surely they can stagger it. Like,
but I maybe caused a bit of hysteria. I thought I was the only one, but I tweeted earlier on in the day, I hope Man City and Arsenal get pumped. And people were like, why? You want them to win?
Well, you want them to be in a tie.
Well, I don't know. It's interesting to hear your thoughts on it. I would... Listen, whoever goes through, if Arsenal and Man City go through in the quarters, they're going to play each other in the semis, which means one of them guaranteed to get in the final. And looking at the other side of the draw, I'd say one of them are guaranteed to win. So I don't want them to win the Champions League. So I don't want them to I don't want them to win in the quarters.
What I'd say is the first thing to say is like winning is a habit, isn't it? So I think if they were to both win last night, either just tight or comfortably, I don't think that's a great thing for Liverpool, because I just think the momentum and the confidence and whatever. Losing, the kind of half thinking, well, maybe we're half out, we just need to make sure we're on it in the league. I think a draw is the best result,
Well, yeah, I agree.
And particularly a contested draw, the way it was, end to end, loads of energy, everything to play for. But then if you do that in the league, a draw, it's drop points, isn't it? So it's...
No, I think you're spot on. I think if people are saying they want them to go far in the competition, so they've got that to worry about. Okay, so if we take that kind of thought, let's say they both win 3-0 last night, that means they can go again hard in the Prem and then maybe rest a couple of players potentially for the second leg. So don't really want that. Let's say they get beat. Again, I would have been potentially happy with that. But I think the draw, they can't switch off now, can they, for the second leg? They can't really rest players really now in the league anyway. And I think that it looked like it took a lot out of them, going ahead and then getting pulled back. And then I think, so I went from thinking, I want them to win. But I think for that first leg, I'm glad it was a draw. But I hope in the second leg they get beat, because, I can understand what people are on about. They want them to go to the semis and it's another game to think about. But it means one of them will probably win the Champions League then.
The other interesting school of thought as well is they were taking on two teams last night who are obviously heavyweights in Europe. But are Madrid as good as the... I mean, you could say they're better because they've got some young players in there that are starting to come of age. You've got obviously Bellingham, who's a big addition there. Bayern are not the team they were. Yet Bayern scored 2 last night against Arsenal. I think games like that, more so for Arsenal than Man City, because I think Madrid are still outstanding playing at the Bernabeu as well. I think some managers who are playing Arsenal in a few weeks will look at that as a little bit of a blueprint. All right, not everyone's got a Harry Kane, but Harry Kane wasn't a big player last night for them, scores the penalty. The likes of Leroy Sané, I don't think Leroy Sané is world class.
No.
I think there's probably 10, 15, 20 players in the Premier League who can play at that type of level, who can play that type of game of running the ball. I think some managers will look at that game and go, oh, we can see how we can get it then.
Not only that, hopefully it's, Saliba's been unreal. They've not been conceding any goals. Hopefully,
his head went last night.
Exactly. I'm hoping that's just a bit of a wobble that hopefully can continue into the Prem, because didn't have his best game at all, did he? And if that's... And with the goalie as well, there's a bit of a mix-up and stuff, and you think... So... Yeah, I think probably
that's like mental tiredness. Some of those things were like mental tiredness, weren't they? Like, being out of position slightly, doing some bizarre things, as we'll speak about in a moment. And that just seems like it's a lot of games coming thick and fast. Got to be on it all the time. Those moments in the game, that could cost you, couldn't it?
Yeah, massively. Yeah. So just on reflection, I'm glad it was 2-2 and 3-3. It means they both got loads to play for in the second leg, and hopefully it's took a bit out of them for the Prem this weekend. But I'll stand by. I want them both to get beat. Hopefully in like a last minute. Hopefully after extra time. Hopefully after pens.
Just briefly, what about the depth of City, by the way? I mean, I know it's like a common thing and everyone talks about it, but last night, De Bruyne's not well, stays on the bench. Gvardiol comes out of nowhere and scores a worldie. Bernardo Silva, who I think's been quite quiet the last 2 months, because it's all been about Foden and about various other players, steps up again. Foden, who had a quiet game, just comes out of nowhere. Haaland didn't really do anything, but didn't need to. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And just on a quick one on the kind of Kane Haaland debate, I was flicking through both games, so maybe people will correct me, but Kane was in the game a lot. He was dropping back a lot. He was linking up the play, and it just goes back to what we were saying the other day about Haaland, how he just doesn't do anything like that, does he?
Yeah.
He's such a more well-rounded player, Kane. And he proved it, I think, last night.
Definitely. I'd probably contradict myself because I said Kane wasn't a big player. I meant he wasn't a big player in terms of he didn't get the goal.
Yeah,
but you're
course,
right.
Yeah.
He contributed. He was dropping into midfield. He was helping to keep possession. He was making clever fouls. He was winning fouls. Haaland was just... I thought he was almost useless last night. And the amount of times the ball came up to him just bounced off him. We spoke about that in recent weeks. But
I don't know whether as well, listen, I'm not, who am I say anything negative about him in a sense that, him, but question his mentality. But I wonder if, as it's, he's not scored as many as he did last season, he's got people saying, well, does he do anything else other than score goals? Whether it's starting to think,
that's going a little bit with it.
He probably scored an hat-trick at the weekend, so I don't know, but...
And again, you know what Pep's like as well. You don't know if Pep's asking him to do some different things in recent weeks, and that's why the goals haven't been coming as much, and that's why he maybe is in that position of linking up the play a little bit more. And that's what, I don't know. You don't know, do you?
The games itself, more so the Arsenal buy-in, just a couple of bits of controversy which we'll have to mention. The goal kick from the goalie, and he just side-foots it to Saliba, was it?
Saliba, yeah.
And Saliba, rather than, the ball's now in play, just stops it with his hands and goes to take a goal kick, which then a couple of the Bayern players see it and obviously quite rightly kind of try and claim for a penalty. Do you know what it reminded me of? And the best analogy I could think of, me and you go down the pub and we have a game of pool, and I put my hand on the table to take a shot,
and I knock
a ball, right?
Depends what mood you're in, doesn't it? Whether you're gonna get pulled up on that.
I've been in situations where...
If we're having a game and there's money on it or something, or it's like, it's best of 5 and it's 2-2, you'd probably take that.
Yeah, if it's, it's 20 quid, and we're in it and there's a couple of balls potted, high stakes, you might say, no, my 2 shots, and I can't really moan. Or you could go, mate,
we're 5 pints deep, we're just having a little bit of a laugh.
You've got the 4 or 5 pint...
the footy, yeah.
You've got the 4 or 5 pint buzz, you think, it doesn't matter, go on, just... It reminds me of that. Now, it's all right, it's all right me and you saying that, because...
Don't say it's going to happen again.
It's all right me and you saying that because we're having a game of pool. You're talking about a quarter-final of the Champions League.
And that's the bit that I find bizarre. If we're to believe, and we're to take on... we're to take Tuchel's comments as what the referee actually said to his players, that is one of the most bizarre comments I've ever heard in my life. Because you're right, it should be the opposite.
Yeah.
If this is a friendly game, or a testimonial, or... I don't know, even if it's 4-0 to Bayern at the time, and it doesn't really matter, you know what I mean? It's over, then you go, let's let that go. It's the quarterfinals of the Champions League. It's 2-2. Was it 2-2 at the time, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
It was maybe 2-1, maybe, but it's obviously, there's a lot riding on it, and it's tight. They're the fine margins that, those...
And who is the ref to say, listen, it was, he didn't mean it?
I know, how does he... And saying it's a child, yeah, it is a child, but there's a lot of mistakes that are made that you could class as like schoolboy. How often do you hear schoolboy error, that schoolboy mistake?
You could argue, it was a schoolboy error. He didn't mean to, do the pass that led to the goal.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such a poor excuse.
Sorry, you have to blow the whistle. Sorry, take that again.
He's world class. He obviously didn't mean
he's only a kid. He's only a kid.
So it was a bizarre, like you say, bizarre excuse from the referee. And in one hand, you think, you know what, it was a bit of common sense, yeah, and I get that. Again, I refer back to the game of pool. You can be a bit harsh and go, no, it's 2 shots, or you could go, I know, it's all right, it's not going to change the world. But again, we're not in a little pub. Like, this is the quarter-final. And listen, if I was buying, I'd be fuming.
Foul throws happen very, very rarely, but it's very rare that a Premier League referee won't pull you back for a foul throw.
Yeah.
Very rare. And you hear the crowd going off their heads when it isn't pulled back, because it's quite obvious.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think at the time, obviously, there's 2 things at play. One, the Arsenal fans don't want to make a big fuss of it. But 2, it was hardly noticeable because it didn't look like a mishap. But the referee knows when he blew his whistle. He knows he's blew the whistle.
Yeah.
The keeper's heard the whistle, and that's why he's passed it. Saliba hasn't. Or he wasn't paying attention.
But that's his fault.
It is, yeah. Exactly. It's wrong, and I think it's if again we take it on face value that's what the referee did say to the players, it's wrong.
The other one, don't know where you stand on it, Saka. Last minute.
again, it depends which side you're going to look at it. I think
going off the press today,
he's playing for it. There's no doubt about it. But how many times has Salah played for a penalty? And it depends how well.
I want to pull you on that.
Depends how well you do it.
No, I want to pull you on that. You said to me the other week, which you were right in saying, you can't start refereeing things just I agree. Should have gone.
And I'm not saying, by the way, it's not a penalty. No two ways about it. I thought you were saying where's where stands on whether he should be, reprimanded or whether he should be. I don't think so. I think he's trying to play the game. He's initiated contact, and that's a matter of perception, isn't it? We know Saka and we know what he's like, and he does go down quite easily. He's got the ability to simulate things and make it look like a foul. He's skillful enough to do that. Because you're running at me or you couldn't do that. We couldn't run at that pace and then try and make it look like we fell over. We could or been tripped. He can do that.
That's the frustrating thing, though. The fact that he's got that in his locker to almost cheat if he wants to, but he's got it in his locker to take it past him.
And that's why I'm saying, and Salah has as well. It's very rare we're talking about crap players doing this, isn't it? It's normally players who've got that ability, and that's why it frustrates you. You think, you know what, you could have just. And where it stands on it is obviously it wasn't a penalty. 2, he shouldn't be reprimanded because the referee's seen right through it. 3, as you suggesting, it's sad really that a player as skilled as he is and a player who scored the brilliant goal that he did at the start, which shows what he's capable of, couldn't have just tried to finish that game.
Do you think there was anything in it where the ref knows he's messed up by not giving Bayern a pen and he's thought, I can't double down on it and give Arsenal a pen for this? Or do you think he's just saw right through it and thought...
No, I think the ref saw right through it. I think Champions League referees see that more often probably than we do in the Premier League. And he's seen right through it.
The other frustrating thing about Saka, and I actually like Saka, I think he's a quality player. He's got this thing now where he just limps off the pitch. Whether he gets subbed or at full time, regardless of what's happened to him, he limps off.
It's like his walking style. Thing. It's a bit like Sterling's like that, I think, sometimes.
No, mate, he's limping.
Something to do with his gait.
I remember I played for a team called Ferntree, right? And we had a great team. And I played left back. And we had a lad called Andy as well, who played left back. And I actually seen him out in town the other month. And anyway, he won't mind me saying this, but he was crap. And so I played.
So he was sub when you were, yeah.
So he was always sub. But obviously, you're only like 9, 10, 11, 12, lad, and he was just sub. And he turned up every week, the poor thing, but he just, I was obviously
most improved player at the end.
One of them, yeah. So anyway, when we were battering teams like 9 and 10-0,
he'd come on.
He'd come on for me,
and
I'd fucking hate it. And I'd do what Saka done. I'd walk off
just to make it look like
as
you
if
were
it
injured.
Looked like
I'm only getting took off because I'm injured.
Yeah. Now, listen, give me a bit of a break. I was doing that at fucking 10 and 11. Saka's doing it every week in the Prem now. It's like, come on, mate. Do you know what I mean? He's just trying to get it in people's head that he's getting booted all the time. And I'm like, oh, mate, stop it.
I mean,
watch out. Now that I've said it, watch out for it.
I can't say I've really noticed it, but I do feel like he's got this laboured style when he's walking around the pitch anyway. And one thing I will say, he's got an incredible fitness record. Like, I think he's only missed 1 game in the last 60 odds or something. So.
Well, Art has been kind of judging that a bit, hasn't he? Saying, give him a break. But right, unfortunately for you, maybe we'll have to move on to Everton. And I say this every week. It is astounding that any time Everton do well, everyone else around them does well. You never really get a break. So you get the victory at Burnley, great. You got 3 points, but then Luton get a victory. A couple of days later, the dust settles. That victory turns into basically a draw now because you get 2 points taken off you. I mean, listen, everyone knows my stance on Everton, and I wouldn't lose any sleep on you going down. But I'm starting to feel a bit sorry for you.
Yeah, the title of our podcast this week was +3 on Saturday, -2 on Monday. Another week in AFC, and that you're right. It's it's relentless, isn't it? Like we don't seem to get a break. That said, I'm not gonna cry in me brew anymore. What I'm gonna say is, let's just draw the line under it now. I would take the 2 points on the chin. I wouldn't be appealing. I've said this on our podcast. I know the club are appealing. I understand why they're appealing. I understand fans who are saying, no, we've got to appeal. It's this, that and the other. I'm not going to go into the reasons why that's happened. If you want a detailed breakdown, you can obviously watch our podcast Across the Park this week, along with a lot of other Everton podcasts who've gone into it in detail. My opinion, and I know a lot of the fan base feel the same, is let's just move on now and focus on what's on the pitch. You know,
put your energy into on the pitch.
Yeah, put your energy, and for the players, like it. And again, I might be wrong here, and I've made statements before, assuming that people's opinions are what they are, but having played football and not having to not anywhere near this level, and not having to worry about financial fair play when I play footy, but when you're playing footy, you just want to focus on your performance and try and control the controllables. And sometimes there's stuff going on off the pitch that distracts you, and it's frustrating. You just want to be able to go out there, play your footy, and know that, you know what, at the end of the day, we finished where we finished because I've done this or I haven't done that. I think the players would just want to know now, okay, we know how many points we need to gain. There's nothing's going to get added on, nothing's going to get taken away. That's what it should be about now. And
I think there's a danger as well. You make a great point, because if you're a player now and you're thinking, right, you know, yeah, we need to get 3 points, but if we don't, we might get a couple back next week. You don't want to be going into with that mindset. You want to be going, we need 3 points here.
Yeah.
If you're kind of thinking, yeah, but the club are going to appeal and we might get a point back, so that means actually, you know, we don't need the 3 point there. A draw will do. And
well, that's it. That's the biggest thing, right? So, you know, we know you're doing it in the title running. We're doing it in the relegation. The manager's definitely doing it. The players in the Reds are thinking it. They're looking at the fixtures, going, okay, so if we beat them, we draw there. They're working out in the Reds. What's the minimum we need in every game? And I've got no doubt that the manager's going into certain games saying we can't get beat here. I'm not saying, you know, we don't want to win, but we cannot get beat. So if we get into the last 5 minutes and it's 1-1, you don't go and throw cautions to win. You take the draw. Luton away being an example. Forest at home maybe being an example, because you don't want to give the opposition points. Now, don't get me wrong, they're games that if we won them, it's wow, happy days. We're kind of home and dry. But in the games against Luton away, you don't want to get beat. The games against Forest at home, you don't want to get beat. If you throw into the mix, as you're suggesting, like, we might get this back, it starts to think, well, actually, we don't need to win that one, because if we get them 2 points back, then that kind of...
So when you have, like, you know, a plan A and a plan B, if you're focusing on your kind of plan A, but you know, actually, you know, it doesn't matter, we've got a plan B, then you might not put on
You're half-hearted with it. And again, going back to my point on the podcast last week, I said if we don't beat Burnley, we're going down. Now, we beat Burnley, and the reason I said it is because we're going to get a point. I said we're going to get a points deduction next week. Burnley are going to get points if we obviously draw or lose. The fact we've won the game now means that we got 1 point at the weekend, but Burnley didn't get any. So if you're watching this podcast thinking, well, hold on, Gary, you've lost 2 points back, so why does that mean you're not going down now? The bigger factor is that Burnley didn't get any points. We got 1. So we moved 1 point clear of Burnley. It's now a 3 or 4 horse race. Now it's us in no particular order. Us, Luton, Forest, Brentford. I still think Brentford have got as good a chance, or as whichever way you put it, worse a chance as anyone is going down. I think.
Really, yeah. Because Tony's come, I think.
Really lacking
Bueno,
momentum.
those looking all right since he's come back.
Yeah, I mean they got a great result at Villa at the weekend, but it
unlucky not to get 3 points as well. To be fair.
Yeah, but they've had a few of them, but they just can't. They can't put teams away at home. Like they drew with Brighton 0-0 and they were dead underwhelming. I
think though, yeah, you know what? I think that they're the exact opposite of why. I think they'll stay up for the exact opposite reason. You know, you might end up going down, and that's the fact that they've got strikers. Goals. Yeah, they got goals in the team. But on that goal point, you know, we spoke before about mistakes. You know, your goal come from, you know, a really poor mistake from their keeper, Burnley's keeper.
Or if you're Sean Dyche, just saying because we knew he was going to do that and we closed it down. But
maybe so.
It was a jammy goal.
It was lucky.
It was than that.
Yeah, fortunate. My question then to you is, and I think I know your answer. Well, I've already asked you off air, sort of straight after it happened. If he doesn't score that goal, do you think you scored a goal in open play?
I mean, it's easy for me to say no it's easy for me to say no based on the performance and based on how poor we were and how. I can't. The only positive I can say about the weekend is that we won, because we were dreadful. But you know, anyone else could say to me, "Well, hold on. If it was 0-0, he may have done this, he may have done that. The players might have been playing with more urgency." I get that, but the fact is, we were playing with very little urgency before that. And if there was urgency, it was a lack of ideas. There was a lack of, you know. But again, Calvert-Lewin could have had one or two on top of what he had. Not that they were gilt-edged chances he had, but he had a decent game, Calvert-Lewin, and he created a few opportunities himself. But to directly answer your question, I don't think we'd have won that game at the weekend if we wouldn't have got that.
Listen, sometimes you need that bit of luck, don't you? So
yeah, and we've had some bad luck. So again, there were certain people after we put our podcast out this week saying, "Well done, we were due a bit of luck. We've had this missed penalty, this XG that we've we're miles behind on." So yeah, if you from that side of it, for the fair, I think it's only might be wrong in this, but I think it's only the third game this season we've outperformed our XG.
Really,
which is
mad,
which is bad.
That is mad. And you said obviously Brentford could go down. Is that who you think will get relegated, do you think?
No, I do think the current bottom three is the bottom three that'll go down. Mainly based on the fact that
Luton's in that then, yeah?
Yeah, I think Luton goes down.
I don't want Luton to go down, you know.
I can't say I don't want them to go down, because if they don't, then there's a good chance we'll go down.
Yeah.
I think they go down. I just think the fixtures they've got, if you look at it, I think, and again, obviously you can look back at this and maybe laugh or whatever, I think the worst case scenario is we get 7 points, worst case scenario, out of our last 7 games. That'll mean that Luton need to get 10.
Yeah, so as it stands, you've got a game in hand on Forest and Luton, who both got 25
which
points.
Which is Chelsea away, like.
Oh, you've got 27 points, so you're 2 points off the drop at the minute.
But we've got better goal difference than both of them. So Luton really, I mean, if you look at it that way, Luton are 2 points behind us. They need to beat us by 3 points because of the goal difference.
It's going to be so big these next few weeks.
So our fixtures, Chelsea away. Yeah, I'll go through. I've done this with a few people this week, obviously from an Evertonian perspective, but I'll ask you as more of a neutral. Tell me how many points in each game, okay? You've got them up here now, anyway. Chelsea away, just say 0-1. Okay, fair enough. Forest at home.
3.
Okay, that's more than what I give us. Liverpool at home.
0.
Fair enough. Brentford at home.
1.
Okay, I got them the other way around. Luton away.
I think 1.
Okay. Sheffield United at home.
3.
Okay, and Arsenal away.
0.
So you've gave us 8 points, and that's you looking as a Liverpoolian, half hoping we lose.
Yeah.
You gave us 3 against Forest and 1 against Brentford. I done them the other way around. I think we'll draw with Forest and beat Brentford. But I can easily see us getting beat by 1 and winning the other.
And you think 8 points would be enough?
I think 7 points will be enough, because if you look at Luton's fixtures now, and again, because if we go through all these teams, we do the same. So we've got Man City away first.
Yeah, 0.
Okay. Brentford at home.
I think they could beat Brentford 3.
Okay. Wolves away.
I see them getting points.
Yeah, 4. Okay. Everton away. You've said the points, haven't you already? So that's 5 points. So now they need 2 wins in the last game. West Ham away. Maybe a draw.
Yeah.
And I can see them winning the last game.
It's going to be close,
That gets them to 9 points. And you gave us 8 and gave them 9. So it is going to be close. It's definitely going to be close.
Wow.
But yeah.
I didn't realise it would be that close, to be fair. And the last bit, mate, to just cheer up even more, there's talk about potentially docking more points.
Well, that's a long shot, and I'll briefly explain why. So the big debate around our PSR, which hasn't been resolved, is whether the interest payments that we've made against the stadium costs get included in it or not.
Right, okay.
Now, there have been instances, and people have a debate with me about this because I've made this comment on our podcast. There have been instances where other clubs, Fulham for example, where they borrowed money to build a new stand or whatever, have not included the interest payments, or they've included them as add-backs. So let's say, for instance, Fulham are 105 million, and they paid 4 million in interest payments against the loan that they've got for their new stands. That comes off the 105 and gets them to 101. We've tried to claim that, and the Premier League went, no, you can't do that. And we've went, well, why?
It just makes more of a farce, the Premier League,
yeah,
doesn't it?
So anyway, they drew a line under it, and the Premier League have said, okay, well, let's call it on that basis, or the Commission have said, we believe it's right that those interest payments should be add-backs, and you should get the benefit. Therefore, we ended up being 16 million over the over the 3-year period. That gave us the 2 points. The Premier League have now said we need to look at this as a separate issue and decide as the Premier League where what it should be.
But that won't be this season.
It won't be this season. It'll be next season, and they've said any decision that's made on it, if it's a further, will be applied next season. Now, the reason I say I don't believe it'll be a further deduction, worst case scenario, if they do take them all off as our backs, we'll go to 30 million as a being over instead of 16. You're telling me that another 15 million is going to be another 2 points. Considering you don't know, do you? And but then you've also got
this new rule.
So you can't go into so it's. I just can't see it. I really can't see what narrative they can come up with, which means we get another deduction. Now, if we do get another deduction, it'll be for another pay. But again, if they're taking that away, I think, and that's going back to my original point, I just want it done with. Let's just forget about it. Swerve the appeal. Take the 2 points on the basis of mine and your calculations. I think we should be enough, and we just want to stay up and get on with the hopefully normal football.
Well, so the last thing I'll say on football, I'll ask you a question, I'll give an answer as well. 7 games to go. Who's winning the league and who are the 3 going down?
I still think City win the league. I've said the 3 that go down are the ones who are in there now. Sheffield United, Burnley, Luton. On the basis that I've looked at all the fixtures, and as far as I can tell, I think Luton will have to do a lot. And I think there's still teams they're playing, i.e. West Ham can still get into Europe. I think that's a really tough game for them. I think Gary O'Neill's the type of manager, as he's shown at Bournemouth last season, doesn't give up, doesn't allow his players to give up. They have got games against teams. Brentford still need to win. I don't think there's that many games there. City away. I think Brentford's have probably got the more favourable, but I just don't see, apart from Sheffield United at home, any game that's a given for them.
Okay. You're going to think I'm just saying this to wind you up, but I think Liverpool will win the league, and I think Everton will go down. I'm just looking at you now. You're either playing a team that are either, I know Chelsea aren't going for it, but they're still Chelsea. You got Liverpool and Arsenal going for the league, so there's 3 games out of the 7 I can't see you getting anything. And then the other 4 games are playing against teams that are getting relegated. You're either playing for someone who are going for the
Sheffield
league.
United will be down by then. There's no 2 ways about that.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, yeah.
Luton could be on the brink, depends on how the other results go. But yeah, look, listen, it's a good point. And Brentford are either in it, aren't they, as you're saying, or they're out of it.
That's what I mean. You take Chelsea out, and you always just assume Chelsea are like a kind of top 4 side, don't you? So that's why I said, they're normally playing for it. But
Burnley drew 2-2 at Chelsea.
Well, that's what I mean. If you
with 10 men,
set me on my last man standing, I may add, but
me too.
I just think that the Forest, Brentford, Luton games are absolute 6-pointers, and the Liverpool and Arsenal, they're both going for the title. I just think it's the
last factor. I think, and obviously I've been, as well as a lot of Evertonians, critical of him in recent weeks. Sean Dyche versus the other managers is a factor. He's been down there so many times. He knows how to pick draws up, how to get clean sheets. I don't think you can say that about Edwards has been great. He's been a breath of fresh air, and I agree with you. If we weren't in the mix, I'd love to see Luton stay up, and I'd love to see Brentford go down for the same reason. But I don't think he's the type of manager who's going to go, let's get a 0-0 here, and I don't think he's got a group of players that can do that.
Yeah.
Likewise, Brentford can't. Forest might be out of it. I think Forest have shown the last game that they've probably got enough last few games. Mad, don't it? It's so exciting though. So exciting. You've got Europe as well, which is still, as well as the champion. The Champions League places are pretty much nailed on, but below that you've got Europa League, the Conference League. Yeah. There's loads going on.
Right, mate. We'll finish off the last 10 minutes or so, mate. Which all I'm
started listening to what you're saying there.
All I'm going to say is the F1. There's nothing really to say on it, as I was looking at kind of a little bits of kind of info and stuff like that and stories. But it was the F1 last week in Japan. Saw a Red Bull getting a 1-2 finish. Out of the first 4 weekends, Red Bull have had a 1-2 in 3 of them.
It's bored, isn't it?
And it's just getting to that. Ferrari last one before that got the 1-2, and you think, but then again, it's just back to Max winning, Red Bull getting the 1-2. And I just think a couple of years ago, F1 had that season where it was Drive to Survive. You had Lewis and Max, this massive rivalry, Mercedes, Red Bull. It was Toto Wolff against Mr. fucking Sexter Horner. And it was brilliant. And you were really invested each weekend. And I found myself going, where's the F1 this weekend? Now, already 4 races in, I feel like it's just going down that kind of,
like a lot of sports though, as you're getting at, it goes in cycles, doesn't it? And I heard someone, I can't remember who it was, a former race driver who was on there, and he wasn't on to talk about the current F1 season, but they asked him his opinion. He was just like, look, it goes in cycles. There'll be certain years or certain succession of years where a certain constructor will just have the monopoly. They'll have the best drivers, the best car. It's like, unlike some other sports, I guess, once you've got those two, and it's hard to beat, isn't it? Obviously, there needs to be a bit of strategy in there, and you need a good pit team and everything. But generally, if you've got the best engine, best car, and the best drivers, you're going to win most races, aren't you?
Well, there's no F1 this weekend anyway. It's next weekend for the next one. In golf, got the Masters starting, so it starts obviously Thursday. Rory, I didn't realise. I mean, I'm not the biggest golfing fan, but I didn't realise he only needs to win this to get the career Grand Slam.
It's been a while though that he's been on that, waiting for this though, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think there's only 4 or 5 people who've done it.
Yeah, 5, I think.
5, is it? And Tiger said, it's only a matter of time. So I guess the big question is, is this the time?
It's one of the best chances he's gonna have. I just never. It sounds terrible, and disrespectful. I just don't have faith in him getting over the line. Generally, far too many times he's in the mix and he just fades away on in the 3rd or 4th round.
He always gets a place, doesn't he? He always
gets
he's
always respectful.
Finish,
he's always respectable. Always keeps himself in there, and he tends to birdie the last few holes when it doesn't matter anymore. But so many times in the last couple of years, you've seen him going into the last day or the last 2 days, and he's right up there, and he just seems to just have a dead average day when he needs it. But again, it could easily be his weekend without doubt, and it's a brilliant spectacle, brilliant tournament. And I'll be honest, I'm not a bit of a fair weather golf fan. I'll watch the majors and the Grand Slams and whatever, but this is the one that I always remember just sitting there on Sunday, tuning in, getting me spec and just watching the last.
Yeah, I'll be watching it on Sunday without doubt. And it's interesting. Tiger's going to be playing again, and again it'd be interesting what price he is to win. But
if you want to throw your money away, then
just
give us a shout.
Instead,
I'll take it off you.
But hopefully Rory can do something on the Sunday when we're all tuning in for the final day. Obviously it's Aintree all weekend. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if you are there and do see me, then come and say hello.
Don't expect them to remember you.
Yeah, probably not. No, probably too bit glassy-eyed for them. But for those on Patreon, I will be putting my betting tips up on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I've done all right at Cheltenham, so we'll hopefully try and do all right at Aintree.
That's Jamie again.
Yeah, well, I'll be with Jamie as well. I think he's riding actually as well.
Friday morning, isn't it? Friday morning, first race Friday, isn't it? First race.
I'm not sure now. It might
or
have
is
changed.
It Saturday?
It might have changed.
Might have gone to Saturday. It was either first race Friday or first race Saturday, wasn't it?
But we'll get Jamie's thoughts and I'll get him to do a little bit of write up, and again, hopefully we can all back him if he's got a chance.
Yeah, it's an awkward one on his own horse, isn't it? But
I'll still back him. I think the horse is called Josh the Boss.
It is called Josh the Boss, yeah. But from speaking to him last time, it could go either way. He was sitting next to me in the match because I've gave him a few tips this year, but sitting next to him in the match, and he was just saying, look, he thinks that it's ran its season, as in he's done for the season. But
it's not what you want to do.
No, it's not exactly. So I'm being honest. That said, I will get. He did say, look, if he's anywhere near his best, then he should win, and I think he'll be a decent price because the last 2 runs have not been that convincing. But he felt like the last ride that he had on him at Ascot, he didn't really have much in the tank, and when he asked him to go, he just felt like he was knackered. So
maybe a little each way poke, but we'll get some more clarification on Jay on that. There's a massive UFC card this weekend, and I feel probably best not to say too much on it as well, because they're expecting some major announcements, whether that's going to be new gloves getting sorted, new glove sponsorships. They reckon McGregor might be turning up and doing what McGregor does and making it all about him. But yeah, they're expecting some big announcements, whether at the weigh-in, before it, maybe on the night. But either way, it's looking like a really big UFC 300, and arguably the biggest and best in history. I think they've got the most either champions or past champions or
on the card.
Yeah, all going against each other. So it's a stacked card, which should be good. So if you're into UFC, that's on. And there's a bit of boxing as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, so we've got. I was looking at it before. Actually, there's a bit of. It's more domestic fights than anything else, although they're at world level. So Zelfa Barrett, Mank Zelfa, isn't he? But he's got Jordan Gill, and it's a tight fight for him. It's a big one for him. That's on Saturday night.
Where's this going to be?
I think it is Manchester. Because you've also got Rhiannon Dixon on the cards, who's one of Crawler's fighters.
Okay.
Obviously a woman, female. She's fighting for, again, I think it's a world title as well. That's a tight one, but there's a nice little double there, because I think Zelfa Barrett comes through against Jordan Gill, and Rhiannon Dixon on points, because again, she's a tough girl. She's fighting. I think she might be Mexican or Spanish, but she's certainly not English, but she's tough anyway. And Rhiannon Dixon isn't a massive puncher, but you can get a nice even money double on Rhiannon Dixon to win on points, and Zelfa Barrett just to win outright. I think he's like 1-2. But
that's Saturday night, is it?
That's Saturday night, yeah. Decent domestic card. I'm just checking where it is. I'm pretty sure it's Manchester. I was looking before, but
yeah, even on that, just going back to that UFC as well, you know, some of the names, even if you are a bit of a fair weather fan, you know, some of the names that are fighting this weekend, Pereira, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira, yeah, it should be a cracking weekend of fighting in the UFC anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good weekend of sports, isn't it? Who have you got this weekend? Liverpool,
I've got Crystal Palace on Sunday, so I will be recovering from a 3-day bender at the match with my daughter, hopefully getting 3 points.
We've got Chelsea not till Monday though, so it's yeah. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to find out where this fight is.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. Well, I would say the best of luck, but I don't mean it.
Yeah,
for the Blues.
Yeah, it is. It's Manchester Arena. Yeah, I thought it was Manchester. Yeah, good luck to the Manx, this weekend. Not the Manx. Well, actually, Man City. Who've Man City got?
I don't know.
You should know, mate. You should know that more before.
I just know we need to win, and we need to keep scoring. Like you were saying about your mindset, it's like
sound like Jürgen.
That's what we need to do. So Arsenal this weekend have got Aston Villa
at home.
Yeah,
that's a tough game. Now
Man City have got Luton.
Oh yeah, of course. I should know that.
Yeah. So yeah, mate. Thanks very much for this. Your input again. Don't forget, if you want our footy bets this weekend and my horse racing tips, then get involved in Patreon. Also, go and check out the workshop. And again, if you are on the tools, want to get on the tools, again, go and check out our main sponsors, Hybrid Training College, for all your courses. Big thanks for all the support. Thanks for sharing, liking, subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you next week.